Recording in progress.
All right, we'll call the order. Got everyone here. First thing is approval of the minutes of October 23rd. Thoughts, comments? That's it. I have one comment, not about the minutes of the 23rd, but the minutes of tonight. You know, as we go on and we've been talking, we're probably not gonna have another meeting until January. How do you guys feel about tonight's minutes that would be marked as draft, also being published on the website since it's just so long? They certainly could change and we can replace them out at the next meeting as we approve them. But thoughts on that, just so that we've got stuff out there?
I think I'm fine with it. I'm not sure.
So which minutes are you talking about?
The minutes that I will do up in the next couple of days for
Yeah.
tonight. As always, they'll say draft on
Oh.
them,
Until our next meeting.
but since the next meeting is not until what, at least 8 weeks away. Does it make sense to you guys to?
We generally heavily amend your minutes, so I'm fine with it.
Okay, so when I send them out, I'll try to make sure I take Paul's eye at looking at grammar and stuff. They'll still say draft on them, so that when we do finally meet again and approve them, we'll let you take the old ones out and put whatever new ones in, so if there are any amendments, they would show up, but. I just thought that would be nice if anyone, I don't know if anyone's ever gonna be interested, but at least they're there in case they are. All right, Mr. Brian.
Yep, so we are still putting forward on the operations manual. For the transfer station, Nicole and I have sat down. Kind of laid out a site plan. I'm gonna take that to DEP in the next week or so and. Get their unofficial view on it. Before I put anything official in the mail.
So what would be the rough timeline on official submittal?
Can't say until I get their thoughts on.
So assuming they had no thoughts, would it be like the following week effectively?
To drop the application?
Yeah.
I don't believe so. I don't think so. We're still looking at a few other things. Yeah, I'm not going to commit to engage.
So it sounds like there's still a little more than.
Well, we have a couple different. Views on the site plan. I'm gonna take all those to DEP and.
Gotcha.
And see what works.
So you're pitching options, you're not pitching a submittal, you're pitching.
Right.
The submittal with. Options.
Right, I wanna get their,
Thoughts.
I wanna get their thoughts on a few things.
Okay.
Because there's wetlands involved. Last week or last meeting, you had asked about revenues. And right now we are, we're 3 months into the. Into the fiscal, and we are. About $3,000.
That's the corrugated and, because I used that in last night's. Yeah, and I used it in last night's, going off the estimate you had given us of about 8, we're about 3,000 in for just 3 months, so that's 1/4. So
We
the 8,
budgeted for 8.
okay,
Here. It'll be more than that. We'll bring in more than that.
No, we had enough to buy a couple of. Beds for dumpsters.
Yeah.
and that was one of the things going back to transfer station, I had a question on, I noticed last time I was out. Bringing recyclables over, that there was some work going out in the back, and I don't know if that's work that's related to
It's
or
got
not.
nothing to do with solid
Okay.
waste.
Do you think if we do go along, and I know this is hopefully years away, hopefully we have plumber for a while. If we do go to putting a couple of dumpsters out there, we're gonna have to pour maybe cement pads for them. So maybe a little bit of work,
Well, if we go with dumpsters, no, it doesn't have to be
okay,
on a paved surface or anything. You just can't have liquids
yeah,
flowing out of the dumpster. That all has to be contained.
yeah,
Um, I would, I'm kind of leaning towards having a trash truck instead of dumpsters, just throw it right in the truck.
and they bring it
When
over,
it's full, you know, I mean, because it compacts it, it's gonna hold more than a dumpster.
but the capitalization of that is more than a couple of dumpsters.
It is.
Which is what
Not
we-
by much.
Yeah, that's what we proposed last night.
Right.
Yeah, okay. I thought if we
Looking at options.
yeah, I thought if we compacted it, because I know I had originally thought that we needed a compacted dumpster bed, that was my bad. But if we compacted it, what's gonna be is, let's say people throw something out and they've got liquid in their. You know, in their trash bag, you compact it and the liquid's gonna come out more easily.
Right, but it's contained in the dumpster.
Um,
Even our recycling dumpster has a rubber seal around the doors and that.
but if you did a garbage truck, is that the same?
It's the same, everything goes down the end, so it holds the liquid in. So,
Okay, well, that's
and
it,
then when it's full, you just hop in it and you
you
take.
drive away, yeah. Hopefully, like I said, that's several years from now. You know, we can look at it, or whoever the subsequent committee, if it's not us, can look at it at that point in time. I was just
Yeah. How
curious.
does that compare with having the roll-off truck that could take both the recycling and the trash in?
You're right, I mean, the roll off would work for many. I mean, cause
Would it,
you,
would it work in Auburn, because you said they can only take stuff to the dump, because
Yeah.
roll-off kind of dump.
yeah. Yeah, cause there's no stuff high enough that you can dump the contents out of the 40 yard.
That's a really good thought. Again, probably years down the road. Anything else going on from your spot? Okay. Update from the meeting. I know you watched it. Hopefully we made our points. We are never going to convince Alan of anything. So that's just noise and feedback that comes with it. But I think everybody else, I noticed, you know, Pete and Mark and all those guys were all pretty much on board with what we laid out as, you know, the town wants to recycle, period. I mean, very hugely wants to recycle. And changing the trash model saves no tax money. And it's kind of silly to go ahead and do that, so.
I think you laid out at that meeting last night, laid out the point pretty well, that this gives the town more options. It doesn't pin us into any one certain thing. I think maybe that's more palatable for people.
Yeah,
Maybe not everybody, but
well, the frustrating thing is that when we put the ordinance out to begin with, and we told everyone how much more flexible it was gonna be, we got loud pushback, it is not. I know, I gotta stop.
Select board 2-year terms.
Three.
Three.
3-year term. So moving ahead, and the only other thing they had was to talk about the next thing on our agenda, which is you know, unless anybody has any, I mean, you're welcome to watch it on live stream. That'll be fun.
Probably will.
You know, get yourself some popcorn. Watch it. I wish I were a little faster on some of the other answers. Like when he said, but we burn it, I wish I'd said, so does that mean you don't think we should recycle? But maybe it's just his job. Well, I can. Okay, the last agenda item that we have is possible amendments to the solid waste ordinance. Seth had identified these, and actually I checked in with George Christopher, and he had some of the same concerns on it. So there were two provisions, and I put them, the dumping provision first, even though it comes later in the ordinance, because the second one applies to dumping as well. So The thought was to replace the term owner, occupant, tenant, leasee, or invitee for any purpose in the town to just person.
Simplifies
Makes
it
sense.
very well.
Simplifies it, you know, the language did not actually cover non-invitees, although state law covers them. But it simplifies it. So,
Yep, I think that was a great comment from Seth.
all right, terrific. And then the next one, and this was both Seth and George were on this, and Seth and I talked about it, and we tweaked his original edit a little bit. Was that the definition of agricultural waste? That it includes, and this is straight from the state definition, although as Seth and I discussed, and I think George is on board, and I can read you George's note if you're interested. It says that it includes waste pesticides when generated by a farmer, provided the farmer triple rinses each empty pesticide container. So it includes the waste pesticides, but it should say includes waste pesticides containers. And that's an error in the state language that we just copied from the state. But what having this language in, because you see in the paragraph above, the talking about dumping, is it does, other than it does exempt agricultural waste. So leaving this language in the definition of agricultural waste actually allows farmers to dump pesticides or pesticides containers, which I don't think was what we intended. Now the state may actually use that definition for something else where that, you know, covering pesticides and pesticide containers is appropriate. The only place we use the term agricultural waste is in the dumping provision. That's it. So, you know, if we are not in favor of having farmers being able to dump pesticides, and you know, for the most part, from what I understand, and Brian, you may know this better than I, farmers, if they need to dump pesticides, the state has a place they can dump it, because I know we can't take it. Because we don't have the appropriate licensing
I'm
for it.
not aware of any state site.
Okay,
There are commercial sources, you
Okay.
go to EPI or, you know, Clean Harbors and that.
and since farmers have been doing it for years, they know where these things are, but there's someplace other than the state, if they really do have old pesticides they need to get rid of, for the most part, they're using everything they have.
Avcog has an area also, but I believe they're tied in with EPI.
And I think these both make a lot of sense. I don't have any objections to
Okay,
the change at all.
Paul,
I'm just trying to think, I've got some neem oil and some BT
Chloridated.
and stuff, but I haven't thought about what I'm gonna do with it, but
well, when it
Thank you.
comes to it, I suggest
I'm gonna
you call our wonderful solid waste director, and you say, what do you think?
whatever. Maybe I'll just triple rinse the container and throw it in the recycling. Neem oil's organic there. It's not gonna kill anybody, I don't think.
It's okay, passed upstream from you.
No, there is a whole dumping thing right after this that says you can't dump in the waterways in the ordinance, so stop it. All right, so we're okay with both of these. My thought was that basically I was just gonna take this document that I did, I had a lot of reasonings for it as well as the edits. And send it to Nicole. Ask her to please run it by Leah. I don't think we need to be involved, but just don't think it's messing anything else up in there. I really don't, but it would be great if she could run it by Leah for just take 15 minutes of legal time and just make sure that we're good on that. And then these would be in the warrant for town meeting. Is that, we have a motion to make it so?
So moving.
All in
Yep.
favor?
Yeah.
Okay. Anything else before we go to? What, 1 minute meeting? What's it?
Rules.
Rules.
Nicole is going to finish updating them.
Yeah.
tomorrow, And then she'll send us out the meeting.
The only updates were changing 2025 to 2024 in 2 places and 1 paragraph on the first page that they were gonna eliminate.
Okay, so,
Oh, that one, or any proposed amendments to this ordinance, because it talks about to the ordinance, and that shouldn't be the ordinance.
This is fourth change as well. Yeah, transfer station is coming out. And that's gonna be put up under recycling program.
Okay,
Until-
Typically the trash pickup. we're
Right.
gonna get.
Until we obtain our license, and then it will go back in.
In other words, curbside is gonna get moved to recycling until we get a transfer station, then the curbside went back into.
Yeah, that'll go back to the transfer station. Well, the paragraph that says town,
oh yeah, town, that's the
yeah,
extra task. What were you? Town somewhere.
yeah, it's right at the beginning of the paragraph under transfer station.
page 2 down at the bottom.
Now, what was going to happen? Transfer. You said there was another transfer station moving where we're going.
Yeah, that, basically that paragraph is gonna come out. Until we obtain our license. Because right now. We're not a transfer station. So biannual bulky waste collection will go up under recycling. Until we obtain our license, then this paragraph will go back into the rules. It's a temporary fix. So I'm gonna get that typed up and sent out to us tomorrow.
Okay,
And then it'll go back to the select board on the 26th
they have to have,
for their public meeting.
is the 26th a public meeting?
Yeah.
I have to give 10 days notice, so,
Yes, 26th is a public meeting.
so they've got to let people know. Okay. And I will say if anybody here is available on the 26th. That'd be great, but I don't,
But it's
2 days before.
it would be a Tuesday,
for Thanksgiving.
Tuesday before Thanksgiving.
Oh shoot, I will be out of town
Yes.
for Thanksgiving.
But I don't know that we need a big presence for it, You know, I can try to be there if anybody else can be there. If there's anything we can do to make sure that that goes, since it's a public hearing, I'll probably be in the beginning of the agenda.
So I try to find it, but I definitely will not be here.
Yeah. I don't think there's a lot. To it at this point. I think we've done most everything we need to do. Those changes, that's like. My only concern, I don't disagree with what they're talking about for changes, my only concern is getting that transfer station language back in as soon as we. Get the thumbs up.
Right, once we obtain the license, then it goes back into the rule.
Yeah. I just hope nothing happens in between now and then. All right, so then next meeting. Let's see, I'm for the not until after the first of the year. You guys tell me, do you see any reason? And we can obviously do an ad hoc. If something comes up that needs people to talk about, we can do an ad hoc. But I think our next scheduled meeting would be January 8th. After that, or the January 22nd would be the second, the old solid waste, we can do anything else, but what do you guys think? Do you want to meet between now and January, or
For some reason, too, no.
don't say that too fast. What are we gonna do without meeting with you guys?
Get away. Sure,
We can do that.
everything you've been putting off.
Our meeting's on the 15th, the third Wednesday.
Yes,
When is the spaghetti feed?
And the January.
It's on a Saturday, so,
Oh, it's on Saturday?
yeah,
Oh, okay.
I mean, we can do any,
8th or 22nd both work, I was just looking up.
Yeah.
Either one.
Feet, that don't matter. It's too far in advance for me to know.
All
what
right.
I'm doing.
why don't we call it the 8th? And then if we're going quarterly, our next one after that will be until Aprilish timeframe.
Yeah.
So, and one of the things that we do need to keep in mind is if there are any other amendments to the ordinance, we've got an end of March deadline. So if anything comes up, hopefully we'll hear about it. The ordinance will be in effect for a little while. We should hear about anything that happens. Maybe we can ask Nicole. And you keep your ears out if you hear anything, any feedback. We can of course watch the social medias.
Amendments for the next town meeting. you mean?
Yeah, because this will go on town meeting warrant. The ones that we just talked about and approved tonight will go on town meeting warrant. Is there anything else out there? I don't think so. But I want us to be open to if someone has a, hey, can we change this and here's why I think. It's a good thing for us to discuss. And those things have to be approved by the select board and on board by the end of March, so
So, ad hoc meeting if necessary.
if needed. I don't think that's gonna happen at all. I mean, the other ordinance went for 30 years and nobody touched it, so. All right, so the 8th, it is 6 o'clock or 6:30, which one works better? 6:30? 6:30 work for,
That's fine. I think.
all right. I have to, last thing I have to say is you guys have done an amazing job in getting us here. It's been what? Almost a year and a half. It's been a hoot. Good.
Do we have 2-year terms? Or we,
I think it's 3 years. I think it's 3. But
It's actually the two of you that have 3-year terms and two that have 3-year terms.
Do we know when to switch?
I know.
iPad Martha thinks you did a good job too. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for your faithful attention.
All right, good enough. Brian, I may touch base with you just ad hoc. One, if there's any communication things you think that I can help with, or two, just touch a base when I bring stuff in to see if there's anything that you do need to ad hoc for.
Right.
But other than that, and I'm sure everybody else, whenever they bring in recycling, you can do the same. So. Move that we adjourn. All in favor?
Favor, get up and leave.
Great. Have wonderful holidays, guys.
Thank you. Thank you.